You will see on the image that we have various boxes throughout the page. The OCR is pre-looking at the various data points across the entire invoice, not just at the header, not just at the footer, but the entire invoice, to help determine what it is that it needs to pick up. And from there, it uses machine learning to look at specific tags, to look at specific pieces of information to identify what it is that it's looking at. The vendor name and vendor number down here are coming directly from the master information that is coming over from SyteLine. So for invoice number, it has the invoice boxed off and it knows to go to the right to find that invoice information. We also do a purchase order lookup, again, to the workflow, where we are looking to see if the purchase order number that was picked up matches up to the vendor. We do also check math totals. So we pick up the freight, we pick up the sales tax, we pick up the total, we add up the sum of the extended amounts to equal the net amount, and we make sure that all of that matches out before it goes to the workflow. For the line items, you can see this is quite a long invoice. It is 16 lines long. And you can see on the image here that we have blue lines and boxes and numbers. This is how the system learns the mapping between the line information. On your non-purchase order invoices, you are not going to have line information. And of course, you won't have purchase order data. You will still have your vendor and you will have your subtotals. And that information then goes over to the workflow where it gets assigned to an approval group and also gets approved and geocoded and so forth. So once the invoice is done within the OCR, then it will transmit on a scheduled basis over to the workflow, and the workflow will then run the workflow rules. When AP logs in, you get to see everything that's outstanding. It doesn't matter what site it's for. It doesn't matter who it's with. It doesn't matter why it's on hold. You get to see everything that is out here. The invoices are going to go through a workflow process. PO invoices are going to be assigned PO line numbers, including the release number, as well as it's going to do checks and balances to make sure that pricing, additional charges, receiving, all of that is okay to go. Non-PO invoices will go through geocoding and approval. And once everything is done with those checks and balances, the invoice will go to ready to export. Those invoices will go over into SyteLine. They will vouch within SyteLine, and they will send us back a confirmation that those invoices have successfully vouched within SyteLine. If we go to an invoice that is currently on hold, we will see the same information. So we can see in the hold queue for POs, we can see who it's with, why it's on hold here, pricing, additional charges, receipts, pricing issue, and we can see the location that it is for. Again, when we go into one of the invoices, our details page is going to be the same. We have our image. If you want to view the large image, it is in the view invoice image. We could see why the invoice is on hold. In this case, it's on hold for a pricing variance, and it's going to tell you exactly which line is the issue. And so we could see that this is a large invoice. Again, it's 31 lines. Of that 31 lines, 2 of the line items have a pricing error, line 4 and line 14. Line 4, the purchase order, the invoice is $4 above the purchase order. And in line 14, the purchase order is above the invoice. So the invoice is for less than the purchase order. Non-purchase order invoices are going to go through an approval process. Again, you can see which location they're for. You can see who the current approvers are, who it's currently directed to. You can see all of that information. The difference on the invoice details page is going to be that you now have an accounting section. The accounting section can be done either by AP automatically or by the user. Your GL coding will be set up with how many ever unit codes that you have. This is currently set up for 3. And you can also use allocations. Allocations are a setting of GL codes assigned to percentages that will automatically divide the invoice against those GLs. At month end, when you're ready to run your reports and see what items are still on hold, when you go to the reports section, there is an accrual report. And the accrual report is going to show all items that are not posted within SyteLine.
All right, so here's the invoice in Nimbello. So when I click on details, you can see that here's all the history. Invoice got in there, it was verified, I approved this, and then invoice got exported and posted. You can see that the GL coding is right here. This goes to our IT supplies, 10,081.09. And then when you click view invoice image, here's the invoice. All right, so this is now on the Infor side. Here's that invoice, all the GL detail, and within the IDM, the document management, this invoice also gets pushed into SyteLine.